There's me thinking it's safe to scoot off for a little cheeky haircut in the afternoon. No, of course it's not. It's the transfer window, and Manchester United have actually made some movement. You can see Mason Mount has moved off the moving. He's moved into the done. David Ornstein confirming that Manchester United have agreed a deal worth £60 million for Mason Mount. Mason Mount is going to become Erik ten Hag's first signing of the summer. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. This is broken about 15 minutes ago. And as is the case throughout this entire summer, I'm going to be coming here live when it happens. I'll run through the David Ornstein article, what Fabrizio Romano has had to say. We can take a little tactical look at how Manchester United's team will line up with Mason Mount in it. And you will let me know how you feel about it. Let's run straight through the story. And it's a signing. I wouldn't say it's the most important signing Manchester United can make this summer, but Erik ten Hag clearly really wanted Mason Mount. Like, really, really wanted him. And as I said, I think I've already taken a look. Hey, sorry. Let me stop waffling. Let's take a look at the article. Let's read through what David Ornstein has said about it. Manchester United have reached that agreement with Chelsea worth 60 million. Now, it's worth noting this. Our first bid was around 40 million. Our second bid was 45. No, our second bid was 50 million. And our third bid was 55 million. And then there was talks that Man United and Chelsea were going to re-enter negotiations this week. And now we see that Manchester United have reached a deal worth 60 million. My immediate reaction to that is, But then when you read through, maybe it comes a little bit better. All right. Manchester United have reached an agreement with Chelsea to sign Mason Mount in a deal worth £60 million. United had a third bid worth 55 million rejected last week, but have now agreed to pay an initial fee of 55 million plus 5 million in difficult add-ons. So maybe that was where the negotiation and the compromise was found. Manchester United paying the 60 million that Chelsea wanted. But it's interesting that I've never actually seen that before. Difficult add-ons. And I think that's clearly a point that's being made by Manchester United as part of this negotiation process. Because I spoke about it in the live stream this morning. This morning, I've spoken about it with you in some detail. That I feel that this transfer, Manchester United have got to stay firm in the negotiations. Otherwise, it sets a bad precedent for what is going to come in the rest of this transfer window. So maybe those difficult, I don't know, maybe that's Mason Mount getting nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Mason Mount scoring 25 goals in one season or something there. Mason Mount winning the Premier League. And hey, if we win the Premier League and Mason Mount, you can have another couple of million. I don't know what the difficult add-ons means, Ben. But maybe that's where, clearly that's where this compromise in the transfer fee has been found. United had warned Chelsea that they would not go above their improved offer of 50 plus 5 and were considering alternatives with them wanting 65. But talks between the clubs appeared to have finally yielded a positive conclusion. Mount had 1 year left on his deal, and that's pretty much the full David Ornstein story. What's your initial reaction? You can let me know in the comments below. Bernard, you're saying I think it's a fair deal if he rediscovers his form. If I remember correctly, the best season for Mason Mount was it 2021? And he got double figures for goals and assists in the Premier League in a single season, which is quite impressive. CM10, you're happy with the Mount deal, but Gareth on Facebook, you're not. Not happy, Sam. Not happy at all. There's a reason why he can't get into a poor Chelsea squad. Gareth, I don't particularly think you can look at last season at Chelsea and really have any long-term feelings on the players that played last season. I don't think so anyway. It was so many of those Chelsea players underperformed last season, but it doesn't mean they're bad footballers. Significant amount of those same Chelsea players will be much better footballers this season. I am surprised that Erik ten Hag has gone after Mason Mount so aggressively. Why do you think that is? I don't know. Maybe try and go a little bit more depth in your responses to that. Oh, yeah, because he likes him. I know he likes him, right? But why? Is there like a tactical specific reason? I think there might be one, which I've spoken to you about before. There's a super chat there from Jolien. How you doing, buddy? I enjoy long, toxic transfer songs. How could they do this to me? Can we both? A little bit of I appreciate sarcasm here. Everyone appreciates sarcasm. It feels a bit weird to actually, get a deal done. Pauline, you think it's because Erik is desperate? I don't think that this isn't really desperation. In my opinion, this isn't a desperate transfer at all. Ten Hag clearly identified him as his top target for that number 8 role. And I think it's the tactical switch of Manchester United. I personally feel so anyway. Decent player, says Chris, but absurd price. I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot. I think you look at I think a really fair comparison is Raheem Sterling from City to Chelsea. 1 year left on his deal. Very good England international. Premier League experience. Plenty of years ahead of him. 47.5 million. And you could argue that Sterling was a far more accomplished player at the time that he was sold than Mason Mount is. But Mason Mount, look, I've got to trust Erik ten Hag. I think he's pretty much hit the bullseye. He's certainly hit the bullseye. He hasn't missed with any of his transfers. Some of them more of a bullseye than the other. Martinez, an incredible signing. Casemiro wasn't even his first choice signing. Worked out quite nicely. But if Ten Hag feels that he can refine that Mason Mount that was there in 2021, then we have to believe him. And I think he's shown as a coach that he can massively improve players. Everyone's asking about Caicedo. I'll take a look at that. This is a developing story. We're going to have a look at what Fabrizio Romano said first, and then take a look at see what else is being said elsewhere. All right. So what's Fabrizio said on this? Here we go. Manchester United have agreed that 60 mil package for Mason Mount. It's done. Here we go. Personal terms agreed weeks ago, and face-to-face talks between the clubs made it clear the agreement is done. Mount becomes a United player. They never left the race. Manchester United left the race. It was only Mason Mount. Top target deal done. This and that. Now, Fabrizio saying they never entered the race for Caicedo. Now, I don't personally feel that Caicedo and Mount are in the same conversation as midfielders. I think they're very different profiles. Sure, they can both play in a midfield trio, yeah, but in different. They balance each other. It wouldn't be Mount or Caicedo. I personally think it could be Mount and Caicedo. But Fabrizio Romano there is saying that we never entered the race for him. Let's find out what continues to happen this week. All right. If Ifos is saying, which credit card are we using for this deal? We've actually got enough cash in the bank for this, but this pretty much bleeds the cash dry if we are paying 55 million up front. Remember that we won't, okay? There will be 55 million as the initial payment that will be spread over X amount of years. For example, we'll give you 30 mil now and 25 mil spread over the next 5 years. So 5 mil for the next 5 seasons. I'm completely assuming this, and these aren't the actual figures, but that's what will be done. It won't be 55 million straight away. A couple of super chats here. Let me read these out. Thank you very much, Jack. In Ten Hag, I trust. Every transfer has been quality, and I'm glad he's got his number one choice in the market. The only thing I'm not glad about, Jack, is the way that the transfer has gone down. Effectively, if you go back to here, right? Man United's initial bid was 40 million. Chelsea's counter to that was 70 million. And what have we ended up at? 60 million. So Chelsea have, on the balance of things, won, but it's that, as I said, I've never seen that before. It being written as difficult add-ons. I don't know whether that's going to be like Mason, as I said, Mason Mount being nominated for the Ballon d'Or, or Mason Mount scoring 20 Premier League goals in a season. It'll be something like that, to the point where if it happens, it's fine because the transfer's worked out perfectly for Manchester United because he's been a very good player. What else is Fabrizio Romano saying on this? More details on the Mount transfer here. He'll undergo his medicals with Manchester United after the weekend, so on Monday. Contract will be valid until 2028, so that's a 5-year deal. Fee is going to be 55 million fixed plus 5 mil in add-ons. There's a couple of super chats. Let me read these bad boys out. Garlic Bread Man, how you doing? Hey, Sam, do you think this sends a signal to the other clubs that United's pants can be pulled down? I think it will give other clubs a bit more energy in transfers with us. I think it will. I have to admit that. I don't think it's a perfect transfer. I am happy that we've got Mason Mount. Genuinely. I think it's only because we've got Erik ten Hag as our manager. Like, trust goes a long way. There could be a few of you in the comments that are saying, hold on, Sam. are we really going back towards being a club where we just sign players according to what the manager wants? And I would say, yeah, that would be an issue. But I think that what Ten Hag is doing at Manchester United is deeper than just his own identity. I think when Ten Hag leaves, he'll leave his identity behind. And Manchester United, when Ten Hag is gone, will bring in a manager who plays a similar style of football. So there won't be this big U-turn like Mourinho to Solskjaer and Solskjaer to Ten Hag. It'll be Ten Hag to somebody who also plays with that sort of aggressive, front pressing, possession-based style. So therefore, the signings that he makes, it shouldn't really be that much of a problem because it will be Manchester United after he leaves as well. That's what I think. Stephen, you're saying Mount is better than Kai Havertz. I don't care about Kai Havertz. I do care about Mason Mount, though. I'm going to go down and read a few more of your comments out down here now. It's a really interesting one, this, because a striker is still a bigger priority than Mason Mount ever was. And in my opinion, a goalkeeper is still a bigger priority than Mason Mount ever was. And at this moment in time, while we're hearing some good news around Andre Onana, and I'll leave that conversation for the live show tomorrow, but the good news and good movement around that. Zoateng, you're saying good signing. Thank you very much, Super Chat, dude. Good signing, but why couldn't we wait one more year to sign Mount for free? I feel like we waste too much money. Well, the simple thing there is that we wouldn't have had Mason Mount for a year. And who's to say next year he wouldn't have got a massive offer from Bayern Munich with a huge signing on fee, and then we would never got the man that we wanted. Onana first, that's what everyone's saying in the comments. Then go for Caicedo. Do you think Fabrizio's spot on here? Do you feel that the Caicedo, I think we've had this conversation before. I think we had it this morning. Do you feel this Caicedo news this week that remember it emerged? Man United are going to be entering formal talks. That's what Sky Sports were reporting only this morning, actually. I don't see them being part of the same conversation. I think the only reason we're not going to go after Caicedo is money. Right? It's money. If we can't go after Caicedo, it's not because we don't want to sign him. It's because we don't have the budget this summer to afford him, given that still we need that striker and the goalkeeper. DeBest, you're saying this guy's no better than what we've got. See, that I think is a little bit unfair. Genuinely, I feel that's a little bit unfair. I think Mason Mount, and I'm going to go to the, I've got the tactics board up here, right? Because I think this will be a nice little taking the conversation forward. I think my video, I might do my video tomorrow. I don't know. What will I do my video on tomorrow? Maybe I'll do it on Mason Mount. I'm thinking about it. But I really do think it's because next season we're going to play with a slightly different version of Ten Hag's football compared to what we played this season. And I think that's where basically if you try and fit Mason Mount into how we played last year, yeah, it wouldn't really be that. You'd be like, why are you spending 60 million on that? However, if you put a different style of team with two number eights, proper two number eights and one holding midfielder, you think, right, you can see where he fits in a little bit more. Jolien, how you doing, buddy? You're saying Cantona is my favorite player of all time. Can you show off that Cantona closely? Eric's just there permanently looking over, being wise. Didn't he just release a tune? I swear he released an album. Simon, you're saying Fabrizio knows his stuff. I believe him plenty. Hey, look, Fabrizio Romano's built up his own reputation after a lot of hard work. I hope he's wrong here. I absolutely hope he's wrong. But maybe we were never in for Caicedo. Maybe it was just all a way of, don't know, scaring Chelsea. I wouldn't say particularly scared Chelsea, because let's be honest, 60 million is a very, very good deal for them. I don't think. I think it all depends on how many players we sell this summer, right? Because we at this moment in time, where we are, we can't say that. I mean, it's going to be a big part of our budget anyway. We don't know how much we've got left for that goalkeeper, left for that striker, maybe left for a midfielder like Caicedo, which is probably not going to happen now. But it all comes down to player sales. We should be raising big money. Maguire, McTominay, Martial, Anthony Elanga, Brandon Williams, and there's others too that I've forgotten. We should be raising way in excess of 100 million. I think I've said this quite a few times here on the channel. Fred has obviously been linked with a move to, I think, Fulham. It was getting linked to, but then they've kind of gone a little bit quiet there. If we sign Mason Mount for 60 mil and we sell Fred for somewhere in the region of 25 mil, which I think he's worth, then I think that's a pretty decent squad upgrade for 30, 35 million. I'm going to go down and keep reading your comments out. Stefan, you're saying, I'll say this. The spine of the team's getting stronger. Getting that new goalkeeper, Varane and Martinez. Knowing that we've got a good ball winner behind them. Finish with a proper striker. Yeah. I like the way that this team is developing and going towards. Pete is saying, stop saying 60. It is 55 unless we win the Champions League and Premier League. Is that what's being said? Let's have a look. All I've seen so far is it's difficult add-ons. I haven't actually seen any conversation about what they are. Let me see if I can find some more information about that. And as always, you let me know what you think in the comments. And if you can, just take 1 second now. Drop a like on the video, ladies and gents. It does make such a big difference. Let's have a look. Nothing there. No, nothing on there. Let me see what else is being said. It does say difficult add-ons. I just don't know how difficult they are. Right. Can't find it anywhere there. Let me see here. It's a good photo. I like that photo. Let's bring that photo up there. Teammates now. Stefan, stop saying 60, like 5 million is a huge gap. Well, you say that. I think it's quite. I can't actually find anywhere that's saying exactly what these add-ons are. All right. The only place I'm seeing at this moment in time is David Ornstein saying difficult add-ons. So that may well be the Premier League and the Champions League. But let's take a quick look here at the tactics board. So I think this is quite important. All right. This is pretty much, I've got Onana down there, but let's put De Gea in for the time being because, of course, Onana is not a United player just yet. Although, to be fair, from tomorrow, De Gea is not even a United player. He's a free agent. Anyway, this is where Mason Mount... So if, for example, Man United played like we did last season and we just signed Mason Mount, you might expect that to be the shape, right? You probably expect to see Mason Mount sitting there. Let me go there. Sitting there alongside Casemiro, then playing in a two-man midfield with Bruno operating as the sole number 10. However, I think that is going to change. And I think that is why that, for me, helps me understand why Ten Hag has been going after him so aggressively. Because I know he's a good squad signing, but Mason Mount isn't the signing that that moves the needle, right? Mason Mount isn't the signing that I consider transformative. Caicedo, I think, would be. A new striker, world-class striker, I think, would be. Onana, I think, would be. But Mason Mount comes in here, and instead, this is what I think we're going to be doing next season. Casemiro is going to operate properly, more like a traditional number 6, with United then switching to having 2 number 8s instead of 2 central midfielders. And by doing that, you're going to watch Manchester United, for all intents and purposes, just because I hope it happens, all right? Onana will play there, right? Well, I hope he will. And by doing this, you'll see this from Manchester United. I guarantee you, if we come and it's this time next season and we compare Manchester United's line height from Ten Hag's first season to his second season, I would be amazed if that's not quite a bit higher as a consequence of having Onana in. And that's a whole little different tactical conversation that we need to have. But look, what do you think about that team there? That team there is a big upgrade for what Ten Hag wants this team to do, which I think is the most important thing out about, because we can argue all day long about this player is fantastic, this player is great, this player is brilliant. But Ten Hag wants players that can play the exact style of football that he wants them to play. And look, Christian Eriksen was wonderful last season, but Christian Eriksen could never play that sort of role because he doesn't have the energy for it. And it's just that Eriksen and Mount are at different points in their career. Mason Mount comes in. He's going to be that player now who really aggressively presses from the front. He'll be able to double up with Rashford. He'll be able to drop in. He'll be able to do a bit of everything. I imagine Mason Mount has been signed to be like a 7 out of 10 player every week, right? So that's why he's never going to be the player that moves the needle that much. But Ten Hag will want him to be that player that he can just consistently rely on to do a job. In the same way that Bruno, he can be relied on, I would say, to do the job. But Bruno's a level above, of course. So Bruno is a bit of a game changer. I don't think Mount's going to... Maybe he will. Maybe I'm being slightly unfair. But when you look at the tactical switch, I think that's where it makes sense why we went after Mason Mount. 60 million, it's a bit much. I can't lie. It's a bit much. I do worry about the knock-on effects that will have on Manchester United's ability in the transfer market, or ability for other clubs to have their wicked way with us. Add an extra 5-10 mil on, because United will probably pay it. Let me go down there and read your comments out. There's a couple of super chats. Andy, you're saying, hi, Sam, same for me. It isn't a good transfer. Oh, sorry, not is. Hi, Sam, for me, it isn't a good transfer. His attitude reminds me of Lingard. Hope I'm wrong, but he gives you Lingard. I think that's pretty unfair. Lingard had a decent attitude until, last 18 months or so? And then it all got a bit weird. I think Lingard was really listening to advice from around him, and I don't think that helped him. And yeah, I think it was a bad attitude towards the end. What have you heard or seen about Mason Mount having a bad attitude? I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. Maybe I've missed that, but I've not really heard that. Mason Mount, I thought, was a player who was pretty much universally liked by the managers who have managed him because he does a job for them. Carl, you sent a super chat there, but you've not said anything. And Orlando, I never get to watch you live. Lovely to have you joining in here because, yeah, it's movement. All right. So many people. Man, the frustration's been really building here. I try my best here on the channel to have that positive vibe, but when United are moving like we're walking through treacle and there's no movement, no actual movement, to hear that a deal is actually done and agreed is good. It really is good. Let me see what Sky Sports are saying on this, all right? I'll pull up their report. Quite a few of you in the comments are saying, look, Sam, Sky Sports are reporting it as well. I find it weird that people still, or maybe they're just old traditionalists, that people still look towards Sky Sports for transfer news. My nan is faster than Sky Sports. They are so bad. They are so far behind everyone. It's ridiculous. Behemoth Emperor, thank you very much for the super chat, dude. You're saying, look, worth pointing out that Mount was Chelsea's fans' player of the season for 2 consecutive years. Well, that's a good comment there. Chelsea fans are definitely... they're upset that he's going. They are upset that he's going. I'm happy we've signed him. I think we've overpaid. I agree. I think we've overpaid. I won't lose sleep over it. No, but I wouldn't be a hypocrite. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't go. That's questionable. Let me see what it's saying on Sky Sports. Man United have agreed a deal with Chelsea for 60 million. Sky Sports understands the deal includes a potential 5 million of add-ons, strongly dependent on appearances and success. Okay, so we've had David Ornstein saying difficult add-ons, dependent on appearances and success. 5-year contract. Mason's got 1 year left. United had 3 bids. So that's a little bit more detail. So that might be a case of, right, okay, Chelsea, we'll give you an extra 2.5 million after Mason Mount has made 150 appearances for the club. There you go. And if Mason Mount makes that many appearances for the club, by that point, everyone will be like, you can have another 2.5 mil. And if it's based on success, if Manchester United go on to win the Champions League or the Premier League, is anybody really going to be offended by them paying an extra 2.5 mil to Chelsea? Probably not. So as long as the add-ons are difficult there, I understand that. So maybe I'm being slightly unfair. Maybe this is actually United doing I still think 60 mil is overpaid. I'm not going to try and pretend. I'm not going to try and pretend otherwise. There's a super chat there. Let me not miss this one. Jonathan, how you doing? Finally a deal, even if it's not the backup for Casemiro we need. Romeo Lavia would have been perfect for that. That ain't going to happen. Jade, you're saying I don't get this. If Ten Hag wants Mount to play 8, we are going to get overrun in midfield. I mean, that's quite the opposite of the logic really of having Mason Mount, because Mason Mount is somebody who can drop defensively and then kind of partner up with Casemiro if you need to. And also Manchester United, because we will be playing, as I said, because we'll be playing with this higher line, you're going to see that space that Casemiro has to cover is going to be smaller. I'm not saying that Varane and Martinez is going to play that high. I'm not saying they're going to be playing that high, but they will squeeze that space. So it shouldn't be that Casemiro's. So if this was De Gea, right? De Gea's stuck on his line. Martinez and Varane, they're going to be about 10, 15 yards away. And then all of a sudden, look at the amount of space that your number 6 on his own has to cover. That changes when your centre-backs can play a little bit higher because they've got the confidence in the keeper whose average position now will be on the edge of the box. So I don't know whether we'll get overrun because of Mason Mount. I kind of disagree with that one. A couple more super chats, and then I'll read some more normal comments as well. Kyle, sorry, Sam, if Maguire leaves, do you feel it's essential move for another centre-back? If so, could you do potential replacement alternatives to Kim? Obviously, Axel Disasi from Monaco was named as one. Is it Jean-Claire Todibo from Nice was another one? So there's been a couple from the French league we've been linked with. Nothing moving too fast on that. And we had to question, as I said, how far we went in for how far we actually went in for Kim as well. There was a lot of noise from the Italian press, but nothing really came back over to the British press. I don't know. Mark, you're saying we need a striker desperately. You're not wrong there. It's still the number one priority on everyone's list, and we had that at the very beginning. Mark, you're saying, look, thank you for the super chat, dude. 80 mil to 70. Was it 80? Oh, man, it was 80 at the start, wasn't it? And everyone was like, man, you're drunk, man. You are drunk. 80 mil to 70 to 65 to 55 plus 5. Fits the second creator role and Ten Hag loves him. Good signing. What do people say if we walk over 5 mil in add-ons? At that point, people were like, well, it's good to see United staying firm, X, Y, Z. But then, of course, we would be looking at an alternative to Mason Mount. And it wouldn't be the player that Ten Hag wanted. You can look at pros and cons and positives. It's not a perfect transfer. How we've negotiated it is not a perfect transfer. However, I do think it's a good one. This I hope strikes me as a deal. I hope this turns out to be Ten Hag's version of Ramsdale and Arteta. Ramsdale, when Arsenal signed him, everyone laughed at him. Everyone laughed at how much How much did they pay for him? Arsenal signed Ramsdale. I laughed, by the way. I'm not going to lie. 30 mil. Something like that. I laughed. Ended up being a really fundamental player for how they played that season. Really, really fantastic player. Given last season, you think, how will he fit in our team? He'll fit in straight away. Yeah, I hope that Ten Hag continues in what Ten Hag has done. Because look, if we run through the list, what have we got? Martinez, absolute hit. Eriksen, on a free, hit. Casemiro, hit. Anthony, I think Anthony was a hit. All right. I know that he's got his detractors from his first season, but I think if you look at how he played at the start to how he played at the end, I think he developed quite well, scored plenty of goals, needs to improve his overall output. But I think in the goodness of Anthony's time at United, I think we're going to consider it a hit. And who's the other sign? There's always one sign I forget about. Dubravka? Who else have I forgotten about? I always do this. I hate when I do it. Man United transfers. Who else did we sign? Casemiro, Anthony, Martinez, Eriksen, and actually, I think I got them all. Was it Dubravka was the last one? Oh, Malacia. Boom. Malacia. I knew I forgot one. Definitely a hit, in my opinion, anyway, for the 15 mil we paid for him. Super chat there from, who's this from? Jonathan. How you doing, buddy? I hope you got no relation to Ed, because if you do, that's a real shame for you. Jonathan, you're saying Erik Ten Hag, Erik number 10 Hag, his favorite position is in his name. Ten Hag was a centre-back, wasn't he? Centre-back? Central midfielder? I think he was a centre-back. I randomly watched it. There was a tweet that was going around the other day. It was Ten Hag being interviewed after Twente had beaten PSV in the Dutch Cup final. I didn't realise that Twente were 3-1 down in penalties against the team that had Van Nistelrooy and Van Bommel. And then the keeper come up clutch, made a couple of good saves. They won. And I think that was the season after that Van Nistelrooy joined us. Or was it, he had that, he did his cruciate? Did his knee, didn't he? I can't remember what knee injury he did. I think he might join that year. Was it the year after? Right, let me see what they're saying down here. Matt, you're saying we need homegrown players. And I'll tell you what, it's a good point there. I was going to do a video on it. I've not done it quite yet. This would be a little bit busy. The quota is going to be important. If Manchester United sell the players that we want to sell this summer, Maguire, McTominay, they're two homegrown players that would leave our list. And there's other ones. Quite a few are saying that Ten Hag was a centre-back. I'm pretty sure it was a centre-back. But yeah, I think it will actually help us to have more homegrown back in the list. Let me see what you're saying. Robin Williams, you're saying live board update. Come on, mate. He's already down there. Step ahead of you. Not only have I got a haircut. Don't know why I mentioned the haircut. That's quite nice. It's sharp, isn't it? I was sitting there in the barbers and I was like, David Ornstein. Boo, boo. Didn't speed. Obviously stayed at 30 miles an hour the whole way. Let me see what you're saying. Cameron, is there any news about Diego Costa, or has it only been about Onana thus far? It's all been about Onana. All of it. Make of that what you will. But it clearly seems that Ten Hag has identified his choice of goalkeeper. And Onana would actually be cheaper. Onana has played under Ten Hag before. Yes, he's 3-4 years older, but geez, man, he's 27. In the grand scheme of goalkeepers, he could be at the top of his game for nearly a decade still, if not a decade. So age isn't really an issue between Costa and Onana in the same way it might be with two different players. Jordan, how you doing, buddy? Thank you very much, Super Chat. You're saying, realistically, what caliber of number 9 and a goalkeeper do you think we can get with the remaining budget and player sales? I think one of them will be compromised on as the money isn't there. And if so, which on? Jordan, I think that one's quite clear. I think the compromise is going to come on the striker. Because we can't get Harry Kane. It looks like, as it stands, with our budget and what we know. We were told it was 120 million going into the summer. If we raise 100 million, and that's 220, and we spent 60, all hypothetical numbers, of course, that would leave what? 220, 160. That would leave 160 to spend on a goalkeeper. Say that's Onana and we sign him for 50. That would leave 110, which is still enough. Remember, Atalanta are asking for around about 80 million so far for Højlund, which is way overpriced. Way overpriced for where he is at this stage in his career. It feels like we're going to compromise on the striker, but still sign a good striker. Menster, my hair looks the same. Jeez, that's harsh. Harsh but fair, because it is the same, just a little bit shorter. Sai, you've joined as a member. Let me know where you're watching from, dude. I'm a potato. How you doing, buddy? Can watch live for the first time in ages. Missed you. Garlic Bread Man's been taken over as the favorite food-related member of the channel. Should have a little fight. Anyway, can watch live for the first time. Story goes Mount impressed Ten Hag during his loan spell in Holland. Of course, he on loan at Vitesse, if I'm correct. In form, he's a good signing for me. I think in form, he is a good signing. He is. There's a few things we'll all agree on here to wrap up the show. 60 mil is too much. 60 mil is too much for Mason Mount. Chelsea have won in that sense. I hope that these difficult add-ons really are difficult. I'm talking like Mason Mount making 200 appearances for Manchester United. This is what Sky Sports have said. Look, the add-ons are strongly dependent on appearances and success. If those add-ons there for the extra 5 million are Mason Mount to make 200 appearances and Mason Mount to win the Champions League, then I tell you what, if he does both of them at United, give Chelsea an extra million just to say thank you very much. At that point, nobody will really care. So it kind of feels like it is pretty much the 55 mil that United wanted. We haven't just given them the extra 5 and gone, yeah, all right, go on then. But it is overpriced. However, I do trust Erik ten Hag. And let me pull this back. Let me pull one bad boy thing up now to finalize this show. It's cracking little graphic. Had this prep for a while. I should have really brought it up on screen, but I forgot. So let me do it whilst we're live. Because Ten Hag, for reasons which I suppose we'll find out when Ten Hag is interviewed and he's asked about Mason Mount. Why did you go so aggressively for Mason Mount? And he'd explain himself there. Let's get this bad boy up. I'm saying bad boy. It's a good graphic. Ten Hag wanted his man, all right? And Ten Hag has now got him. There we go. Nice little graphic to finish there. Ten Hag has got his man. We've been asking for movement, real movement. I'm bored. I'm waiting, blah, blah, blah. We've got our movement. I genuinely think Mason Mount is a pretty good signing. I think this is going to be a signing that after the season, people say, wow, Mason Mount's been better than I thought it was going to be. That's what it strikes me as. On paper, it's not going to be the one that moves the needle that much. Not going to be the one that transforms our team. But I just get a good feeling about Ten Hag working with Mason Mount. Really strikes me as a player who will thrive in that system. If we switch to 2 number 8s, we should be able to, with Mason Mount, play more of the attacking front press, which is a big part of Ten Hag's system, which we haven't been able to do we weren't able to do enough last season. Mount improves that. I think he's just a good midfield signing. Now, if we can get Caicedo along him, Harry Kane, Onana, I'm not greedy. I'm not greedy. Just get Caicedo, Kane, and Onana, and we'll call it quits. All right? I'll be fine with that. What would you? We'll leave this in the comments there, right? Last question of the show. What would you rate the signing of Mason Mount out of 10? If you look into how much we paid for him, what role you think he's going to fit in at Manchester United, and yeah, the player himself. What would you rate that out of 10? I'll see what everyone's saying down here in the comments. And Moya's saying that's so unrealistic. Hey, dude, I know it's unrealistic. I'm dreaming. I know we're not going to get Kane, Caicedo, and Onana. I think we're going to get Onana. Out of those 3, I would say Onana's the most likely. Kane feels the most unlikely. And Caicedo, I don't know whether... Well, according to Fabrizio Romano, as I said, Fabrizio saying that we were never in for him. So let's see if that develops. But let's finish here on that lovely little... That's Mason Mount and his new teammate. There he is there. Right, let me see what we're saying. Karma, you're saying 6. Sam, you're saying 8. Daisy, you've gone for a 7. Steve, you're feeling not very chipper. You've gone for a 5 out of 10. 7/8 says Django. 4.5 says Yogi. You really are not feeling chipper. But 9 out of 10, someone now. Nars. Promoter Julie, you're saying an 8. Let's have a look at what some members are saying. Ian, you're saying 6. That's not how it's made, says 7. Jordan, you're saying 7. Toby, 7.5. Alex, you've gone for a 7. Andreas, you've gone for a 3. I'm going to give it a 7. And I think that's exactly what Mason Mount's going to be for United next season. I think he's going to be a 7 out of 10 player consistently. I think the fans are going to grow to like him. As it stands, lots of questions. I think after this season, I think we're all going to be happy with Mason Mount. And if he makes those add-ons, those difficult add-ons, that means he's been successful at the club. So for me, 7 out of 10. It's a good start to the window. We need a lot more. It doesn't touch our priorities. We need that striker. Maybe it's Højlund. Maybe it's Moani. Maybe it's Kane. Maybe it's none of them. We need that goalkeeper. Maybe it's Onana, who's up there in concrete talks. I think it's a good signing. I really, really do. Stuart, how you doing, buddy? Wrap up with your super chat. Sam, we got a Champions League winner for 60 mil. Arsenal got a Conference League winner for 105 mil. I know you can say what you want to make yourself feel better, but I would much rather have a 105 mil Conference League winner because Declan Rice is the sort of transformative signing for our midfield. But congrats to Arsenal. That I'm sure that he'll do well there. And look, Ten Hag got his man. This is the player that we've been chasing. Earliest bids went in. We went most aggressive for Mason Mount and we got it done. And if it is those difficult add-ons, then maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe Manchester United did better in this last set of negotiations than I am giving them credit for. But big up to every single one of you. Look, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I don't know how many times we've been live here today. We've been live twice, and we had the video earlier on Jim Ratcliffe. Windows open. It's hot. Mason Mount. I think it's a good signing. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. You can let me know what you think.